What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. So it's been such a long time since I did a movie review. I've seen like 8 other movies, I think, since my last movie review, which was Weapons. So this is going to be a little movie review roundup video where I'm just going to give very, very small reviews on movies that I saw. And I'll try to get back to doing solo individual movies as they start to come out throughout the rest of the year. So apologies for taking the time off. It's been super busy. It's been hectic, but I love doing this, so I can't stop. So let's get right on to it. So the first 2 movies that I saw are they are re-releases. So the first re-release was Ninja Turtles, and it was the 35-year anniversary for Ninja Turtles, and I love this movie. Not going to give it a score. You kind of can't really score these movies unless it's your first time watching, and I've seen this movie a bunch of times. So there's that. Ninja Turtles 35-year anniversary. Next year will be the 35-year anniversary of Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze. After that is the 30-year anniversary of Toy Story. I saw that last week. Again, seen it multiple times. Can't really give it a score unless it's my first time watching, and I love the movie as well. So it doesn't make sense to give it a score for me. So yeah, be sure to check out Toy Story. I think it's going to be in theaters for another week or two. Ninja Turtles that unfortunately already passed. So the first movie that I'm going to be going over and doing a little review on is Relay. Relay was a fun, I believe, original idea. It just wasn't well executed. It had a good cast: Sam Worthington, Riz Ahmed, Lily James. They did their job right and well, but just the it was almost the direction or just the style felt like it was slower than it needed to be. What the movie's about is Riz Ahmed works for a company that, like, if somebody from a different company or politics or whatever has to have something come out because it's better for the public to know that needs to come out, but it's going to get that person in trouble, they call Riz Ahmed's character, and his company takes care of it and exposes it without the person getting hurt that wants to expose what needs to be exposed. So it's a story about that. Lily James is kind of caught in the middle of it, and she doesn't want to know that she's the one being exposed, but she has things to expose. And there's some fun twists and turns in there as well. So I give this movie, it's a solid movie. Like, if it came out in Redbox and you, when that was a thing, or Hollywood Video, and you just happened to get it, you would watch and be like, oh, okay, this wasn't a bad movie. But there's really no need to go out of your way to see it, if that makes any sense. So I give this movie a solid 7 out of 10. So the next movie up is The Threesome. The Threesome was a funny movie. It's about, obviously these people have a threesome, and they both end up pregnant. So it's how do these three, where not all three of them actually want to be together, they just had a fun night together, how did they all come together through both of these pregnancies, through both of these girls? Which girl is this guy going to choose? Is he going to be there for both the babies? Is he going to be there for one of the babies? It got a little bit more serious than I thought. I thought it was going to be just a flat out comedy, but there were a little bit more serious moments to it, but nothing too crazy about it. The premise is pretty simple, but there's a lot of funny moments. There's a lot of heartfelt moments. There's a lot of like, ooh, shit moments. So I definitely give it a watch once it comes out on streaming. I give this movie same score, 7 out of 10. The next movie coming up in my ranking is going to be The Roses. The Roses is a movie based off of a book, The War of the Roses. I don't know how closely it follows to the book because I haven't read it. There was also a movie, I believe in the 80s or 90s, directed by Danny DeVito that was called The War of the Roses, but apparently that one isn't similar to the book at all. And I think I've heard that this movie, The Roses, is funnier. Now, with that, it was funny. There was a lot of the funniest moments given away in the trailer, but specifically the Red Band trailer. So if you haven't seen the Red Band trailer, there's probably a lot of comedic surprises in there. The biggest downfall to me of this movie is that Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman, they have good chemistry, but they don't have good romantic chemistry. They felt more like frenemies to me than lovers that are lost in their lives right now. So that's really the only downfall that I kind of have to this, and maybe about 10 minutes could have been shaved off, but it was well paced. So this movie's got a little bit of a higher ranking. I give this movie a 7.8 out of 10. Next up after The Roses, we have the movie Together, the new horror movie with Allison Brie and Dave Franco, real life married couple. This was a good kind of body horror movie. I know there's some drama surrounding this movie, so I don't want to get too deep into that and say like, oh, it's an original idea from them, because apparently it might not have been. But one way or another, it was a good movie that shows that sometimes your person, your partner, you don't want them to be the only person you rely on for everything. Obviously, you could have other friends and family and everything like that. You don't want to be disrespectful of your partner either, though, which is a very important thing. But this one shows what happens when it's just them and only them that is your outlet for anything. But I also can't really say too much without giving away the ending, unfortunately. But the ending did not end the way that I expected it to, I will say that. And yeah, there's a lot of good little creepy moments in here. And so I give this movie another solid horror entry for the year. I give this movie a solid 8 out of 10. After Together, I have Nobody 2. Now, I had never seen the first Nobody, and it's been like, what, 3 or 4 years since that movie came out. And so I wanted to at least see it, the Nobody 2 in particular. So I watched the first one, like the first one. I love how it's very just like, it just goes for it, and it's very quick. It's like right at or right under an hour and a half. So there's no need to drag it out so long. And this movie does the exact same thing. But I do like this movie better than the first one because I love how much more they added the family dynamic to this movie and still included all of them in this crazy action. So I give this movie, again, I did like it better than the first one. And so the first one, I probably give like a 7.6, 7.8. This one, I give it 8 out of 10. And that's going strictly based off of just action, comedy, and having fun at the movie. It's not necessarily a great movie. If you want to turn off your brain and watch an action movie, this is a pretty solid one to put on. Now going into my top 3 in this movie review roundup, we have Splitsville. And Splitsville, this movie was a lot of fun. It's about this woman who wants to get a divorce from her husband. They've only been married a year. Excuse me. He doesn't know why, so he just runs away essentially. And he just refuses to sign the papers. But then he ends up living with his best friend for a little bit. And his best friend and his best friend's wife are apparently in an open relationship. They don't care who they sleep with as long as they don't know about it. So he sleeps with his friend's wife, and then he tells his friend, and then a whole bunch of stuff breaks out. But then the girl that wanted the divorce wants to come back into the relationship. And the guy that she wanted to divorce, the one that slept with his friend's wife, is like, no, I'm good. I'm with her now. And it's a whole mixed bag of emotions on why not to cheat, why not to have an open relationship, why not to think you can do better and think the grass is greener on the other side. Obviously, if you're in a terrible relationship, you don't want to do that, but still, it's people getting too high for their bridges and their egos getting put in check. That's kind of what this movie's about. And it's also really funny. It sounds like it'd be serious, but no, it's hilarious. So it's definitely one of the funniest movies I've seen this year so far. I give this movie a solid 8.5 out of 10. I had a lot of fun with this movie, and I definitely recommend everyone check it out. Okay, next up is a movie that I've really been looking forward to this year, ever since I saw the preview for it at CinemaCon, and that is The Long Walk. The Long Walk is based off the Stephen King book. It's not one of the horror ones like It or Misery or anything like that, although it could be kind of similarly related to Misery. But this is basically Hunger Games meets Stand By Me and potentially meets Misery. There's some elements of Misery that are thrown in, but it's really intense. There is comedy to it, but the comedy fits at the right times, at the right moments. It's not just there to be there. It's there always after a pretty serious encounter. And it's kind of the relief from like the stress that you build up. There's no shocking. Oh, actually, there's a couple shocking moments, but not as far as like jump scare shocking. But there are some moments where you're like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this. And it truly makes you wonder, like, how could anybody ever do this? Obviously they wouldn't, but if they did, how could they do that? And the acting is phenomenal. From every single person in this, but in particular your main 3, and that's going to be I don't know his name, but Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, the guy that was the android in the most recent Alien Romulus, and Ben Wang from the most recent Karate Kid. All 3 of those guys are great, and I can't wait to see them in more stuff. I give this movie a solid 8.5 out of 10. Now, my final movie that I'm going to be going over in this movie review roundup is Caught Stealing. So, full disclosure, this will have a lower ranking as far as the point scale to the other movies that I had just listed. Not the lowest, but lower than, at least since The Long Walk and Splitsville. But I had more fun with the movie in the theater, and that's why it's at my number 1 spot. So with that, this movie is about a guy, Austin Butler, his character. He's just a dude. He's just a neighbor of a dude and gets caught in some shit. And that's really all it is. But it's him having to figure out his friend's problems when he knows nothing about what's going on. There's this money case issue. There's like 3 different teams that are after this key to get the money. There's the inclusion of him kind of being a drunk now because he got in a car accident and it stopped him from going pro. So he's very self-depressed. It's about a mixture of his girlfriend in there, the support that he's trying to get from his mom to just keep going forward. And he just gets thrown into all these things. It's also set in the mid to late 90s, so that was a plus. but he just gets thrown into all these things, and it's just like, it's almost like how The Hangover just kind of throws these guys into something, and then every 5 seconds they're like, what the fuck is going on? This is exactly what that is, and I loved it. It was so much fun. The worst part about it is that it probably could have been about 15 minutes shorter. There was a little bit of pacing issues at different moments throughout the movie, but that's the only gripe that I had with it. I would love to go watch this again, and I can't wait to buy it on the 4K disc. I give this movie an 8 out of 10. Again, it is lower than those 8.5s. I just think those were better overall movies, but I had more fun with this movie. It kind of sounds contradicting, and this is actually probably a better movie than Splitsville. So maybe it should have a little bit of a higher ranking, but either way, the thing that brings it down for me the most is that it's about 15-20 minutes too long. But I loved it, and I can't wait to watch it again. So if you can, go check it out. And all right, guys, that is my movie review roundup ranking for all the movies that I've seen in the past, I'd say like month and a half, ever since Weapons came out. That was the last full review that I did. So this is a little review roundup. I might have to do this again if I see a bunch of other movies and just don't have time to record full in-depth length videos. I plan on getting back to actual weekly reviews. So with that, keep an eye out. I also started a new segment where I go ahead and I will go to a movie theater and review and rank the theater itself, kind of give some constructive criticism, some feedback, what I did and didn't like. So be sure to check those out as well. By the time this is up, there'll only be 2, but I'll have a third one coming out within the day or the next couple days. With that, thank you again for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know any movies that I listed that you liked or did not like as much as I did. Let me know if there's any movies that I missed that you recommend we check out. And I'll see you guys at the movies. Peace.